And big news coming on Russia-Ukraine talks for peace. Russian presidential envoy Kirill Dmitriev has called Ukraine peace talks between Russian President Vladimir Putin and U.S. President Donald Trump's special envoy Steve Witkoff productive. Meanwhile, Kremlin aide Yuri Ushakov has said that the 5-hour-long talks were constructive but made no breakthrough on the Ukraine peace deal. Ushakov has added that no compromise was reached on territorial concessions by Ukraine. He described the talks as useful but stated that there is a lot of work to be done and that contacts between the US and Russia will continue. Let's in fact listen into Ushakov's remarks.
Мы, естественно, с американскими коллегами обсудили содержание тех проектов, тех документов, которые американцы какое-то время назад передали в Москву. Прошлись по этим документам. Мы не обсуждали конкретные формулировки, конкретные американские предложения, а обсуждали суть того, что заложено в эти американские документы. С чем-то мы могли согласиться, и президент это подтвердил своим собеседникам. Что-то у нас вызвало критику, и президент тоже не скрывал наше критическое и даже отрицательное отношение к ряду предложений.
Как вы считаете, по итогам переговоров ближе стали к миру или дальше?
Не дальше, это точно. Не дальше, это точно. Но предстоит еще большая работа, как в Вашингтоне, так и в Москве. Условлено об этом, и контакты будут продолжены, как я сказал. Пока еще компромиссного варианта найдено не было, но некоторые американские наработки, они выглядят более-менее приемлемо, но их нужно обсуждать.
Meanwhile, U.S. President Donald Trump has called the war in Ukraine a mess and not an easy situation to resolve at his final cabinet meeting of 2025. Let's listen in.
As you know, we have a problem with a war that our people are trying to settle now with Russia and Ukraine. We are not involved in the war monetarily anymore. Biden gave away $350 billion like it was candy. That's a massive amount of money. And much of it in cash, a lot of it in equipment. I don't give away anything. We sell the equipment to NATO. The European nations pay us for the equipment, 100% price. And then they bring it to Ukraine or whatever they do with it. But we're trying to get that settled. I've settled 8 wars. This would be the 9th. And our people are over in Russia right now to see if we can get it settled. Not an easy situation. Let me tell you what a mess. It's a war that never would have happened if I were president. Not even a chance. And it didn't happen.
Let's now welcome Satoru Nagao, who's fellow at the Hudson Institute, joining us live from Tokyo. Thank you, Satoru, for joining us this morning at NewsX World. Now, talks are held, but if Russia says there's going to be no compromise on the territorial issue, how is Ukraine to react and how are peace talks expected to proceed from here?
Of course, it is not easy to proceed. In this ceasefire agreement can made if both sides can declare the victory. So that's why this is a win-win. That's why it has happened. And in this case, the two issues are very important. First issue is, of course, a territorial issue. And the reason Russia invaded Ukraine related with the 2 states in the eastern side of the Ukraine. So that's why Russia tried to get 2. But this means that Ukraine will lose these 2 states. So that's why this is one kind of the zero sum. So that's why if Russia will not concede, of course, the Ukraine side do not have the will to abandon the territories they lost. So that's why it is not easy. And in this case, we should remember what happened in the Korean Peninsula after the Korean War. because the Korean War is still the legally it is continuing. So that's why the combat hasn't combat is ceased, but at the same time legally this is under war. But the line between the South Korea and North Korea is fixed under the agreement. So same things could happen if Russia and Ukraine agree in this place. So that's why the concession of the territory is very serious and critical. But and another one in the topic is of course securing Ukraine after the war. In this case, Russia also opposed this because if the NATO country deploys the forces in the ceasefire line between Russia and Ukraine, Russia cannot expand territory in the future, not easy at least, so that's why they oppose it. So Russia opposed both case, the territorial case and securing Ukraine case. In both cases, Russia opposed because Russia want to expand the territory in Ukraine, and if the war has ceased temporarily, but in the future they want to expand too. So that's why it is not easy to agree in a ceasefire, which could be fixed like the Korean War. This means that Russia cannot expand anymore in the future. So that so it is a very difficult negotiation now.
And Mr. Nagao, how do you weigh Trump's statement also now coming in his final cabinet meet of this year? He says the war situation between Ukraine and Russia is a mess, one that even he has not been able to resolve so far, having claimed that he's mediated in 8 other wars and been able to resolve those, but not this one.
President Trump's image is unpredictability. So that's why the unpredictable president means that there is no victory scenario for invaders. So that's why it is not easy. That is true, I think. But at the same time, Russia's invasion to Ukraine has already started and continued the war, and the Russian side do not have the will to cease. In this case, it is very difficult for the Trump administration to stop Russia, the war in Ukraine. So that is the current situation. So if Russia will not stop the aggression in Ukraine, of course the United States need to strengthen the sanction against Russia. That will happen, I think. But view from the United States to deal with China, they want to divide Russia and China. And in this case, Russia's aggression to Ukraine and related with this, they need to impose sanctions. This is not a good situation for the United States, they think. So that's why the view from the world, the U.S. do not want to do that. At least the Trump administration do not want to do that. But the view from the reality, they need to do that. They need to impose strong sanctions to Russia. So that is the current situation I analysis. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Nagao, for joining us and speaking to us this morning. But I request you to stay on. We now move on.